are so in for it now. Oh no! Damn, that's all they wanted. It's so cute how they're talking to each other though. Oh. Oh no. Yeah, I know, that's what I was saying last week. Oh. So she's like imagining her. Oh, they're so cute. Oh no! Oh, are we getting flashbacks? Oh wait, that's Emily Co. Okay, hold on. You know, they're acting very casual about this. But yeah, so what I was gonna say is we are in for it because Edward and his doll are in this episode, which means we're definitely getting flashbacks. Like, that's the thumbnail for the episode. So this is gonna be kind of crazy. Oh, he's still asleep. Well, that's, you know, they deserve some rest. But like, what is going on though? Okay, so Barbara invited them, or I guess Barbie and Barbara. Oh, well that's nice. Uh-oh. See? That's what I said! That's what I was hoping for! Exactly! And that's when they'll make the plan to escape. This is gonna be interesting. They're gonna try to escape here. I just know that they're going to. Damn, what was the promise? We have to know. I want to hear. Oh, man. No, see? She's pretending that she doesn't, like, know her like that. You know what I mean? But I know you guys know each other like that. You can't lie to me. Oh, my God. I'm so excited. I want to see some fucking flashbacks. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it was that. Oh, no. I hate it here. But can we find out, like, the Christopher stuff and things, you know, like now? Oh, my God. Is that baby Edward? Edward? Oh, well, that's nice. Oh, well, see, he wanted to kind of, like, change things, right? Oh. Oh, they're so cute. Uh-oh. Oh, damn. Oh, no. Oh, she's so little. Hey, fuck you. Oh, dear. He's so polite, though. He's such, like, I don't know, he's such a good PR person. He's like, thank you for your opinion. Oh, see? So he's, like, kind of using it, like, to convince him. I kind of like that. He's like, well, of course, like, you know, that's why we need your brilliance to make sure this works, you know? He's, like, playing to his ego a little bit. That's a little manipulative. Yeah! Oh, look, this is little Abby. Like, she's so cute. Oh, they're equals, right? He's trying to make her reinforce the fact that they're all equals instead of, like, her idolizing him, I think, you know? Oh, damn! No, no, no! I don't think so! Look at how she laughs! She's like, no! She's gay, bro! Oh! Oh, but that's so cute! Like, she idolizes him! This is a whole lesbian! Well, that's good! Oh, wait, look! They all became star bearers together, so he was kind of part of Edward's three friends! That's interesting! Oh my God, bitch! See, but the shadows used to wear them, and then the dolls started wearing them. Is that what they meant? Look at her! Holy shit! Yeah, what the heck? Oh my God! Oh shit! Christopher was already figuring shit out! No wonder they got rid of this man! Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's already started to notice that there's differences. Look at her little poofs! Oh my God, she's so cute! Oh, see? He was like, he wanted to grow stronger too. Like, now he's like, hey, like, you know what I mean? Like, now he's all swole Christopher got the invitation, and Maryrose found out what'll happen when they become adults. You know what I mean? Like, something happened with Christopher and Anthony, and the surviving one of the two told them what will happen. Oh no! That's not good! Oh my god! Shit, man. Oh no. Wait, not Christopher, Captain Hookman told them too? But I never noticed that Barbara's face was wounded before. Oh wait, so Barbara never wears it, is that it? Damn, so Maryrose, she didn't ask her. Damn. Oh, I see, so that's why she's big. But Christopher is dead! I swear Christopher's fucking dead! Oh no, this is so bad. Yeah, Christopher made up the story. I see, he made it up. And she used the made up story. I didn't realize he made it up this whole time. Damn! Oh, you tell him, Barbara! But he's dead! Is he not? Damn. No, but Edward knows too, man. I feel like Edward's upset about it, but he can't let it show either. I don't know. Yeah, see, but Maryrose knows! Christopher is dead! Shit. Wait, so she did it. Yeah, exactly. Back then it was simpler to stop. Oh no. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no! So Christopher didn't want to do rebellious things. Oh, damn. See, he was a bit more optimistic, but she was kind of manipulating him. Uh-oh. Oh, no! I love her, though. The greatest generation, damn. Yeah, Anthony! Oh! Did he see? He saw someone transform. Yeah, he probably saw. Yeah, and that's why nobody's allowed to see them fused anymore. Because it, like, led Christopher to having, like, a breakdown. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whoa, holy shit! I didn't realize that! Oh, shit! Oh my god, I can't believe that they just dropped it like that! But what happened to Anthony? That means that Anthony is alive, but what would they have done with him? I guess they would have made him into a veiled doll, but that's why I think he's running around. Damn, so were they hiding Anthony? Like, did she help Anthony hide somewhere? Like, is Anthony in the walls still, like, to this day? You know what I mean? Like, do they think that Christopher and Anthony died together, but really only Christopher died? You know, and Anthony's just hiding in here somewhere? Oh, see? Barbara, well, Captain Hookman did it right in front of Barbara, though. Like, you know what I mean? Oh? Okay, bitch! This is what we've been waiting for! Let's go! pushes them out of that crack in the window, they may be able to escape. And Edward may be helping them. Like, you know what I mean? Damn. Damn. Yeah, you tell him, Maryrose. Okay, this is gonna work. This is gonna work. Just like Christopher. Well, not just like Christopher, but this is gonna work. They're gonna be fine. Everything is, oh, look at them. They're going to be fine. It's going to be okay. Actually, I don't know how far down that is. No, I refuse to believe it. They're not going to die. They're just gonna vanish into the night. Right? Oh, no. Shit. No, I refuse to believe that she's dead. This was all part of the plan, and if Anthony is still alive, he's down there helping her. Right? I don't think that she's dead. All right, everyone, let us get into the discussion now. And if you want to support the channel as well as get some cool rewards like seeing the full uncut reactions for all of Shadow's House Season 2, all of Shadow's House Season 1, you guys should totally check out the Patreon because you get to that and you get to support us, support the editors, continue to make videos like this happen as well. We could not do it without the patrons. So if that interests any of you, you guys should totally check that out for the remainder of the episodes and then also to go back and see, I guess, my whole journey, like reacting all the way starting in Season 1 and stuff. And so that being said, you know, last week I kind of had like a 6.5 vibe like for last episode. Like if I had to categorize it or give it like a score, I would say that like last episode for me, I wasn't completely vibing with it. Like there were some good moments, but you guys know if you watched that one, sort of what my issues were and like some other things like that. But in comparison, this one's like a 10 out of 10. Like I would say that this is like the best episode of Shadow's House. And I know that that's like recency bias. I think I've said that like a couple weeks now, but at least if not the best or like if not the most representative of the show as a whole, because I think that there may be better episodes to like, I don't know, like convince someone to watch Shadow's House or like that are more indicative of like what Shadow's House is than this one. But like, I don't know, at the same time, I'm like, this had a pretty good mix of like lore drop and like suspense and mystery and like also like action, right? Because you have that soot monster that Maryrose creates. So I'll take it back actually. I think that this is a pretty good indication of everything that Shadow's House is. Like obviously I wouldn't show this to someone on their first like experience with Shadow's House because it's a spoiler, like you'd want to start at the beginning. But if I had to show someone an episode and be like, this is Shadow's House, I would probably like pick this one. You know what I mean? Like it had everything. At first I was like, well, it didn't really have the action, so can I really say that this is like, you know, the essence of what Shadow's House is? Like, you know, I was debating it with myself for a second there. You guys saw me debate and then come to a conclusion in real time. Like, actually, I think that it is indicative of what Shadow's House is. Like, this had everything. And the other thing I will mention just really quickly is that for some reason, since OBS updated, my camera has been freezing, and so that happened in like the first take of this video. It was only like the first 3 minutes, but if it happens again, hopefully I'll catch it, but like you guys may have to deal with me being like frozen for a couple seconds, but I am trying to keep an eye on it and make sure that I catch it before it gets like too bad. But yeah, there's nothing we can do about it. Like we can't figure it out, and it is OBS, it's not the camera. So another reason to support the Patreon, I guess, even though it's not our equipment. So it's not like I can just throw money at this to fix it. They just have to release a patch to fix it, I guess. Anyway, and so that aside, right, I think that this was the best episode. Like everything that I love about Shadow's House was in this episode. That is my opinion. But let's get into everything individually. I love this scene with them talking. Also, it's always going to be like a crazy episode when they skip the intro, right? And they just have like the credits, you know what I mean? Like going alongside a scene. That's how you know that it's gonna get crazy, right? And so I just love this scene with them. I just love seeing more of their interactions, and I feel like I just understood them a lot more through this conversation, and then also like the other stuff that we saw this episode with the backstory, because last week I was sort of like, okay, but why aren't they angry? Like, it feels sort of weird that they aren't more angry that they lost, and you guys were like, well, you know, wait and see, you know what I mean? Basically, that's what you guys said. Like, they're emotionally sort of like desensitized to everything, and you'll kind of understand why. Like, they've kind of given up a long time ago. where they aren't gonna like scream and cry and like throw a tantrum about like losing, right? And in some sense, it seems like that they already knew that if they went easy on John and Kate, that they were going to lose. You know what I mean? Like, it seemed like that they kind of knew that if they weren't going to, like, they could have, right? Like, they could have went, you know, fully on John and Kate and made them lose, but they were showing mercy to them. And so I think in a way, they almost kind of threw the fight on purpose, because they kind of got that vibe that like Kate and John were better, you know, better suited than they like ever were to carry out this plan, like the rebellion, to take care of the children that are in the house now. You know, like maybe it's like Kate is a better version of what Christopher had hoped for them to do than Maryrose could have been, in a way, right? Like something like that. And so I feel like that's also why she's not upset, because she also gave up, I guess, on purpose. Like, you know, in a way, she could have went fully hard on them, but she didn't. And I think that that's sort of indicative of like her mindset, right? Is that she had accepted that this may be the outcome for a while now, and that's why she wasn't like screaming and mad, and why they didn't like cry about it and everything like that. So I think it just made me understand like their mindsets better. I really like that you have nerves of steel, and I'm like, me too, bestie. You know what I mean? Like I'd fucking sleep too. You know, like I've talked about this a little bit. This is kind of like a tangent, I guess, but like I go to musical theater school right now, and I wake up at 5 a.m. every day to be at like jazz class or ballet class. It depends on what day it is, for 8 o'clock. So I wake up at 5, and then I'm at school by 8, and then I'm dancing like first thing in the morning, whatever. And so like, you know, it's okay if you go to bed early, or if you try, right? Like, it's not like, you know, obviously there are people that have it like harder out there, but, you know, something I was thinking was like, yeah, if I was in their position, right? Like, if I, you know, was in like, you know, some sort of dungeon somewhere, like, I would probably be like, yeah, I'm gonna catch up on all that sleep that I missed. Because of musical theater school, like, fuck it, like, you know what I mean? If I'm gonna die anyway, I may as well die well rested. I haven't been well rested in weeks, so I don't know, I just found that really funny. I don't know, it was just such a relatable thing that, like, she was like, yeah, I'm sorry, I fell asleep a little bit, like, you know, impending doom, but I fell asleep. Like, that's me every day. There's always impending doom. But then I go to sleep anyway. And so yeah, I just really like this scene where they were imagining each other. It was a really nice transition, like animation wise as well, to like have the other one disappear. I thought that was really good. And I really liked this line of like, don't sing me a lullaby, I'm not a child any longer, which again, I feel like really fits in with what you guys were telling me in the comment section of last week. Like, yeah, they're not gonna throw a tantrum about it because they've long accepted that they aren't children. You know what I mean? And that I think that's interesting too, because it's like, even though Shadow's house seems to decide when you're an adult, it's like Maryrose has long decided like that she has been like not a child any longer, if that makes sense. And maybe that's also because of the invitation. It's kind of a double thing. Like, she got an invitation, which means that like she's not a child anymore, but also just because of the shit that she's gone through, like she doesn't need Shadow's house to decide whether she's a child or an adult. It's kind of like her trauma made her grow up too fast. So like that's a thing, right? All right, everybody. So here is the Calxiyn copium, okay? Classic Calxiyn crack theory crafting for this one, okay? Listen, why would they introduce this if not because it's going to be relevant later? So I don't think that Maryrose and Rosemary are dead. I will die on the hill that I do not think that they are dead. I think that they probably introduced this for a reason. You know what I mean? Like, yes, is Emily Co clumsy? Obviously, right? But like, they didn't need to like have her trip over nothing and fall on the floor and have Kate save her. Like, I feel like that this is, what is it, like Chekhov's gun? Like, you don't introduce things like this unless they're gonna be important later. And it could be important for something else. It doesn't need to be important for like the Maryrose plotline per se. Like, it could be used in the future at another point in time. But I'm like, but why would you do this if not because you're trying to show that soot can break someone's fall, bestie? Right? Like, you ain't slick. I think that Maryrose and Rosemary are alive and that Kate did this, basically, right? I don't know if Kate can control other people's soot. I can't remember, but like, she could have done this. Like, you know what I mean? She was standing at the back, everyone was distracted trying to fight the Phantom. She could have done a little like hand soot thingy and like broke their fall with the soot pillow, and then they fucked off, they ran away, and we're not gonna see them until like season 5 or whatever. I don't know how long this manga is, but do you guys know what I I mean? Like, they would not introduce this without a reason. I will die on this hill, especially because, I mean, you guys know, I've analyzed a lot of anime by now. I've watched a lot of anime, like Code Geass, like Full Metal Alchemist, you know, well, I didn't do Death Note on the channel, but I've seen Death Note, Beastars, Odd Taxi, especially Odd Taxi, which fits in the mystery genre. Like, things are not included just because. And like, okay, so skip like 2 minutes if you don't want to hear like Odd Taxi spoilers, because this is kind of random, but there was a throwaway line in Odd Taxi. I guess I'll try to be vague too, because I do think Odd Taxi is an anime that everyone should watch. It's so good. But there was a line, like at the very beginning of the show, and it was like, oh, like so-and-so's dancing is getting very sloppy. And I won't go into detail about why that was important, but like that throwaway line was like evidence for things that happened later in the show, right? And so I'm just like, I'm so used to these things, I'm like, nah, there's absolutely no way, like there's no way that they included this for no reason. So I'm dying on the hill that Kate saved Maryrose and Rosemary and they're not dead. That like Kate did the pillow thing, basically, and that she interfered and made sure that like they lived, and we're gonna see them later. It may be like way later. It may be like a Shirley and Rum situation where it's like people thought that Shirley was like legitimately dead, like the manga readers did. Obviously, we've talked about this, you know, numerous times already, that the manga did something different. Well, I guess I should say the anime did something different than the manga. Like the anime kind of showed Shirley as a morph, so we know that she's not dead, right? Whereas like we kind of knew that Rum was alive, but like people didn't know that Shirley was alive, whereas we know that Shirley's alive because the anime kind of spoiled it, right? But I suspect that they're gonna do that, basically. But with Rosemary and Maryrose, where we all think that they're dead for like a really long time, like so long that we forget about them, and it's like, oh, well, Kate saved them, and this is like the Chekhov's gun, okay? Things are not included like this for no reason. I also thought the conversation between like Kate and Emily Co. and, you know, like John and Sean, like I thought that was like nice, you know? Like I thought that that was cute, but like not the main event of this episode. Like there were so many main events and everything. But yeah, and see, Kate even says that this much poses no difficulty, bitch. So like, I believe in her. I think that she saved them. I think that she did. And I think that, again, we're gonna find that out later, right? She said not to show enemies mercy, but she held back against me and Sean, right? If she hadn't, we would have lost. So I think that that's the other reason why they're so apathetic about it. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe they even wanted to get caught. I know that sounds weird, but like they had this whole plan for the bridge, right? So maybe that's kind of the reason why they didn't scream or like seem upset or anything, because they wanted to get caught. They just wanted Kate and John to be the ones to catch them so they could teach them this final lesson, right? It's almost like a reverse psychology thing. Like they were like, oh no, like, you know, we can't let you catch us. Like, it's just because like she wanted to challenge them to make them stronger versus actually not wanting to be caught. That's sort of the vibe that I'm getting, right? Especially from all of this. But yeah, I just thought that these conversations were cute, you know, about like, oh, you know, they're so tired, like John's still sleeping in and everything. I don't know if you guys saw my camera froze, but like I said, we're just gonna keep going. So with the Barbara and Barbie situation, I found this very interesting just because like she didn't invite John. You know, I guess they don't know that John helped, that John and Sean helped or anything, and it's also Kate who was under suspicion in the first place. But yeah, I thought that it was interesting too because none of the other Star Bearers are here. So you have to wonder, is this Barbara acting in a Star Bearer capacity, or is she acting kind of like a Barbara and Barbie capacity? Like she wanted to talk to Kate herself, not in front of the other Star Bearers, like kind of semi-privately? I don't know, because it could kind of be both, but I'm sort of getting the vibe that it may have been like Barbara and Barbie's own like interest that invited Kate, because this isn't in the Star Bearers like room. This isn't like an official meeting. Like not all of them have gathered like they did when they first called Kate in. So I think that's an interesting detail, right? So yeah, this is interesting too, because I thought that this was gonna be kind of a bigger deal than it was. Like, you know what I mean? Because like, oh, like they hid stuff from Edward and they hid everything that happened. And like, she basically plays that off by like, oh, but your information about Kate is what like delayed our response. So actually it's your fault. Like I thought that they were gonna get in a lot more trouble from that, but they actually sort of threw it back in Edward's face. Like, hey, the only reason why we had such a delay response to tell you is because your information about Kate fucked with us, right? But it actually wasn't Kate, so you were wrong. So I think that that's sort of interesting because I thought that this was gonna be, I guess, again, more of a bigger deal, that they hid stuff from Edward and like didn't tell him what was going on for like all of that time. But, you know, I guess they sort of threw it back in Edward's face because Edward told them to look into Kate and it just wasn't Kate. So I guess that was resolved in a way, but I thought that was gonna be a much bigger deal. Like I thought Barbara and the Starbearers were gonna be fucking sweating because it's like, oh, well, it's Maryrose, but Maryrose has an invitation, so that means we have to tell Edward that it was Maryrose and what she's been doing, or else, like, you know, there's this weird situation where it's like, are we just gonna let her go be an adult even though she's rebellious? Like, I thought that there was gonna be a bit more debate about that for some reason, but it was not. But they invite Kate to be there. And again, I do wonder if this was like, I don't know. I don't think that Barbara and Barbie did it because they somehow foresaw what Maryrose would do and that Kate would save her. But at the same time, I wonder if like part of her kind of knows that Kate is still a rebellious like element, and that if Maryrose and Rosemary tried something, Kate would like support her and try to save her. Like maybe it was a test, or maybe it was intentional, because despite everything, I don't think that Barbara and Barbie want Maryrose and Rosemary to die. And so maybe like inviting Kate to like bear witness was because she knows that like something's up with Kate, and like if anybody can save Maryrose now, it's going to be Kate. And so yeah, I don't know, but that's something that I was sort of thinking about, right? Kate has never seen a shadow wearing one. So that's interesting too, because it seems like that, like, the Starbearer medals, I think the dolls do wear them. As far as I remember, the dolls wear them, but the shadows never wear them. And so that's kind of a post-Christopher thing, which I think is interesting, and I wonder if that's just because, like, Barbara says, you know, I'm not gonna wear this until I'm worthy, like, until I live up to what Christopher would have wanted. So I guess, like, everybody else just follows suit with that, like, everybody else copies her because she's the leader. Like, she kind of set, like, an unofficial trend, just because, like, she doesn't wear one, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure if she wore one, like, Oliver and, like, you know, Benjamin and, like, all of those other people would wear one, but because she doesn't wear one, she sort of started this unofficial thing. Unless, like, Ollie and Oliver do, but Kate has never seen a shadow wear one, so I don't think even, like, Oliver wears one or, like, Benjamin wears one. It's only the dolls, and I guess that's just a function, again, of, like, this unofficial trend that Barbie, like, started, right? Like, you know, sort of a happenstance situation. So I just thought that that was interesting, right? Because that's like such a small detail, and I think I did comment on that. I was like, why don't they wear the medals? I think I just said it as like a throwaway thing, but I didn't realize like how much importance it had. I was just like, oh, well, you know, their face is their face, and so their face would wear the medal, and that's, you know, they both don't need to wear it, or that would imply that they're kind of separate, right? And I think that maybe Christopher was of that mind too, which is why they both used to wear one. I think both of them did. We'll check the flashback in the flashback sequence if both of them did, but it's sort of interesting because it reinforces the idea of, well, my face is not a separate individual, it's also me, so why would I need to wear the Starbearer's medal? My face can just wear the medal, and you know that we are both Starbearers because my face is also me. Whereas if they're both wearing, like, medals, it's sort of one of those things where you're putting them on, like, same status, right? Because they both have the medal, or you're treating, like, as in two different people, I guess. That Barbie and Barbara is a Starbearer versus Barbie is a Starbearer because she's acting on Barbara's behalf as her face, right? So I thought that maybe like that was sort of the vibe as well. But let's get down the hallway, okay? So yeah, what's interesting too is like none of them are wearing their medals for this, I don't think. And so yeah, that's sort of like, again, we'll have to look at the flashbacks for like confirmation, but like none of them are wearing it for this, but I swear that they do wear them at some point, like the dolls actually do. And I think that there are pictures, at least like in the little chart I have of all the characters, but I love this. I love like, oh, Maryrose is sorry for breaking her promise because that's so fucked. And I was like, wait, what promise? Because I forgot. And so I'm glad that they showed the flashback there. I love how like they seem very angry about it because it's like I'm already in enough shit. Like I can't be an adult and like now you're trying to say like that we made a promise together and Edward knows that you're rebellious. Like what the fuck are you doing this now for? You know what I mean? Like Barbara and Barbie are already in enough trouble from their perspective. Like, yeah, I don't know anything. Like I don't know you. Like we were never friends. Like I think that that's kind of why she's trying to play it off in a way, because like, why are you saying this now, bitch? Like you're getting caught for like rebelling against the house and now you want to whisper about how we made a promise to each other? Like what if Edward hears you, right? But it's also just, like, I feel like that even without that, it's just painful to think about. Because it's like, oh, well, now you're apologizing? But you did all this, bitch. I came to you. I came to your door. I told you I needed you, and you said you didn't want to be an adult anymore. So really, whose fault is it, bitch, right? I feel like that if I were Barbara, that's how I would think. I would be like, well, this is entirely on you, though, Rosemary. Like, why are you apologizing? You caused all this. We could have been adults if you didn't try to shut me out, you know? But, like, she doesn't want to be adults because of the fusion thing, but, like, she doesn't know. Well, see, there's the thing, is that Barbara and Barbie saw Captain Hook guy fuse. So I don't know if they know, like, the nature of what that fusion does exactly. Like, I don't know if they know that it'll, like, kill the doll or whatever, but, they did see that. So, but do you guys understand what I mean? Like, from Barbara's perspective, it's like, well, you did all this. Like, you're apologizing now, but this was entirely in your control. This is entirely your fault. So I just think that that's like a double sort of thing. It's like Edward could hear you, but also you're apologizing for something that, like, it was entirely in your control from the very beginning. If you didn't do all this, we would have grown up together, but you didn't want to be my friend anymore and you shut me out and all of this stuff. So I think that that's kind of why she's infuriated by it, because she can't even, like, she doesn't even have any closure with Rosemary. She doesn't know why Rosemary did any of this, and she can't ask her, right? Like, there's no time to, like, ask her why the fuck she did it all, you know? And so I feel like that's, you know, it's sort of painful as well, like, not just with the Edward might hear you, but also just, like, painful just in general. Like, she doesn't understand Rosemary, she doesn't know why she did it, and she probably never will, right? Also, so this is interesting too, because it seems like Christopher was actually in the same peer group as, I guess, Edward and stuff, and then, like, Barbara and then Rosemary were, like, under him, if that makes sense, right? And so I really liked this. I like the flashback scene. I like how ambitious, you know, that they all seemed, right? Like, back then, like, the greatest generation and stuff. Like, I just thought that this was really cool, and I liked this, too, like, how they sort of make the Star Bearers be, you know, teachers, and I guess that's how you get, like, you know, Susanna kind of doing the soot classes and that sort of thing that we see in the show right now, right? All of that sort of thing was led by Christopher. Like, currently Star Bearers have no responsibility to teach, but obviously we see that, like, now Susanna has, like, the sit room classes and everything like that. And so, yeah, I just think that that's really interesting. And I liked this, seeing this from Barbara's perspective, because it's like, yeah, I didn't really understand it, but I was just glad to be here, you know? Like, it all seemed very exciting, and, like, that's, you know, that's a big mood, I think, and I liked that. I really liked that. And I liked, too, that Edward calls her out about, like, not having her own opinion, just, like, defending Christopher's opinion, because I think that that is kind of true. But yeah, I like seeing Ed and Edward back then, especially, like, I don't know, it just, like, you can just tell that his face has such a different vibe from him. Like, it's so obvious now in hindsight that, like, Edward is just the shadow and not the doll anymore, because they just have different vibes. It's so hard to explain, right? But it sort of shows, like, twofold. Edward was, like, kind of always an asshole. Like, you know what I mean? He kind of always was a little bit selfish, but at the same time, he did agree to help, right? You know what I mean? Like, this, yeah, like, this is kind of asshole behavior, but it did seem like Christopher sort of convinced him, you know, you're right, Edward, like, that's a great point. Like, Christopher's also, like, a great PR person. Like, Edward, thank you for your direct and honest opinion. Like, that's such, like, you know, a PR way to address criticism, right? In the long run, these reforms will prove to be of service to the house, which is why we need you. We need your brilliance. He's, like, playing to his ego, and I'm like, damn, Christopher, like, you're so smart. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's so smart. I loved it. I thought that this was great. Like, I just love the play to the ego thing. And I just love how he talks to people. Like, he knows how to get people to rally behind him, right? And I like that he tries to sort of reinforce Barbara to be more confident, but she is kind of, like, stuck in, like, admiration, I guess, right? You know, like, show Barbara the way, like, you know, like, we're equals, we're friends. Like, he tries to reinforce that to her, but she just does not have it, right? I think that this conversation was really cute, like, the courting thing, and I think it was just funny, because the way she reacts, it's like, guys, you don't understand. Maryrose is a whole lesbian. Like, you know what I mean? Like, our relationship is not like that. And so I just found that, like, like very funny, you know. And I wonder too, like at what point, like was this the point where maybe like the brainwashing started to wear off, right? Where like she started to make Christopher and Anthony like not drink the coffee anymore, because that's the only part I'm confused about, is like what point in the timeline that happened in. But I'm assuming that like it must have been during this point, because she talks about how brilliant like Anthony and Christopher's ideas were, especially like after not being brainwashed anymore. So I'm assuming all these brilliant ideas may have started like around this time period. And that's why it's like our relationship isn't really like that, because it's basically like an alliance. You know, she's broken him free of the brainwashing. That's why they're kind of so close, because they share this secret, right? But it seems like, you know, Barbara admires him, and I'm like, yes, but also, I don't know, I think you have a crush on him, bestie. And it's gonna make her so sad. It's gonna make her so sad when she finds out he's dead, because I feel like she doesn't know. Like, she actually does not know, right? Everybody else does. And I feel like Edward actually has a reaction to that, which is very interesting. I think he does feel bad later, but let's talk about this. I think that this is interesting too. Barbara respects you very much too, Maryrose, right? And Maryrose is trying to be like, hey, we're peers, you know? Like, you don't need to be like all like formal like that, like with me, right? And so I thought that this conversation was kind of cute. I really like to see their friendship in the flashback. I like this too, because you can see again in the past, right? Was the Starbearers that were wearing the medals, and like his peers, right? So this is like, you know, all of Edward's friends, and so he was one of Edward's friends, but he didn't get to go along with them, right? And I'm sure that that was kind of, you know, a big thing for Edward to deal with too, if presumably he was like around and like saw like Christopher do what he did. Obviously, I think that like that could have a big effect on these three as well. Like maybe the reason why they want to rise up in the house, to be honest, like Edward and like, you know, oh gosh, I can't remember the other two. Edward and his two friends, right? Maybe it's because of Christopher's memory, you know what I mean? Maybe that's why they want to rise up and get to the third floor. Like we've sort of misattributed their motivations the entire time, because they were actually friends with Christopher. So maybe everything that they've been doing, even though it's still wrong, like the reason why they want to like find Kate as a rebellious element or turn in Maryrose as a rebellious element is because they want to rise to the third floor, so they can maybe change things or defeat Lord Grandfather themselves or something like that. Like maybe Edward actually does want to change the system because of, oh my goodness, what just happened? Because of what happened to Christopher. And that could be actually very interesting, because we see Edward as a bad guy, but what if he's trying to do something in a bad way because, you know, he wants to stop the fusions from happening as well, and he just thinks that the ends justify the means. So basically he's like adult Maryrose, you know, but different, obviously. And so I think that that's actually very interesting if that is, you know, if that is the idea. And I like this, like teach them all our specialties, right? Like, you know, Edward will do like literacy and music, right? And all of that sort of thing. And I like that. Edward has no choice, it seems, like, you know, right? And so he convinced Edward after a while to help him. And like Edward seems kind of like, I don't know, a tsundere character. Like it's not like I wanted to or anything, but if you insist, like, I don't know if that's a tsundere, but also like Barbie, like, holy shit, like, you know what I mean? Like the acrobatics thing, were you also in the circus? You know, we have this theory that Emily Coe was like in like a circus troupe or like a theater troupe or something, and I'm like, Barbie, are you also in the circus, Barbie? Like imagine that Barbie was taken to Shadow's house. Okay, just imagine. And then because Barbie was gone, they replaced Barbie with Emily Coe in the circus, okay? And then after that, like when Emily Coe got taken to Shadow's house, they replaced her again. Like they keep getting the circus kids. Like the circus keeps training kids to get sent off to Shadow's house or something. And like Barbie is from the same place that Emily Coe was. I don't know. That's just kind of like, that's like such a deep headcanon. This all like, how do you say? This all hinges on the fact that the circus theory is real, but the circus theory may not be even fucking real, right? It's just something that I personally believe, and so we're just building off of something that may not even be true, which I always think is fun. You know, very funky fresh, right? Also, yeah, like, you know, we see, like, Barbara treats him very formally, and he's really trying to, like, insist that that's not the case. A living doll as an instructor, right? So maybe this is when the brainwashing also was wearing off, because maybe then he started to realize, because of Maryrose as well, that like dolls and their shadows are separate, like they're not just dolls, right? Like maybe Maryrose like told him about the memories at this point, and so then he started to notice And so, yeah, like, I think that that's really interesting. And I love, like, little Barbie and her little pom-poms, and it's so cute, right? I thought that that was adorable, and I like seeing, like, Ben and Benjamin when they were, like, not swole, and I wonder if their, like, desire for strength and, like, to have, you know, enough strength to protect something happened because of, like, these incidents or something like that. Like, his motivation to become stronger, like, came from, like, this, you know, situation where he's running and he's, like, super tired, right? And then after Christopher died, it reinforced him to become stronger. But they don't know that Christopher died, though. So that's the thing. That's the only thing. He doesn't know that Christopher died. But maybe after Christopher left and things got worse, he realized that, like, he took Christopher's words to heart, maybe, about, like, how important, like, being healthy was. I don't know. Like, something like that. Something like that. But yeah, I thought that this was cute to see, like, Christopher and Barbara, like, you know, running together, which is definitely true. She does do that later. Also, like, little baby, like, Susanna was so cute. And they talk about, how I think the girl, like the pink-haired girl, is training her, like, for the first aid team. I think it's Aline. Yeah, I think that that's, and the new group is full of problem children, and I love this. I love seeing, like, baby Oliver, right? Oh my god, they're so cute. Like you have, like, Ollie, and then you have Oliver, and this is, again, Edward's friend, right? You have, like, these two, who I guess were always sort of helping. I don't know what he has in his hand, just some nuts or something, like, you know, some screws or whatever, and then you have the girl, like, the one that's, like, really, like, feisty. I think she kicks one of them, actually. And so I thought that this was great. Like, instead of, like, punishing him, it's like, you know, let the kid be in the research team. Oh yeah, she kicks she kicks Edward, which I think is so funny, and I just love seeing them all as, like, little babies, right? I think that was so cute. Oh man, and so that's, like, when Christopher sort of imparts to them, like, you guys have to carry on Christopher's wishes, because after I go, you have to continue, right? You have to continue. We've built up such good stuff with, like, the research team and, you know, the first aid team. We've built up all of this stuff, so you have to, you know, like, make sure that it keeps going. Everyone was happy, and then bad shit happens, right? And so Christopher is already gone at this point, right? Because we know that this conversation, canonically, it seems like that Maryrose is literally hiding Anthony in her room. You know, because we see, I don't know if that was just metaphorical, but you see the scene where Maryrose and then Rosemary and Anthony is on the other side of the door. So also what I'm assuming happened, I do believe in my theory now that, you know, we had this theory for a couple weeks now that, like, either Christopher or Anthony was dead and the other one is still running around. So if I had to guess, I would say that, like, Anthony is, like, going to be, like, the final, like, like, you know what I mean? Final surprise. I think I said this before, too, that, like, Anthony is the robed person. And that Maryrose only got the idea from seeing Anthony run around in the robe. You know what I mean? Like, he was the original robed person, Anthony was, and then, like, Maryrose just took on the persona, if that makes sense. So I think that, like, she has Anthony in her room, so I think that Anthony is probably around, like, Anthony is inside of the house. Like, he is in the walls. You know, I genuinely believe that he's still, like, around here, because it seems like what happened is, like, Christopher found out about the fusion, and then, obviously, what they say happened, right? He unalived himself. And then after that, it seems like that Anthony just ran all the way here. And so I'm assuming that they just hid him, right? And nobody knows what happened to him. They may even think that he died with Christopher as well. Like, they may think that they both died, and so they haven't been looking for him. And also, like, how would you say that? You know what I mean? Like, at some point, I feel like that they would just have to let it go, because you can't be like, oh yeah, everyone, so you know how Christopher and Anthony, like, I don't know why I'm holding this, the microphone's right here. You know how, like, we invited them to become adults? Well, Christopher killed himself and Anthony's on the run, so if you see him, let us know, like, like, you know what I mean? Like, the adults couldn't go and search the children's wing for Anthony, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, to a degree, to an extent, I don't think that they could. Maybe that's also why, I wonder if that's why Captain Hook guy got demoted. You know what I mean? Maybe after all the stuff with Christopher, he got demoted, and then Edward became warden of the children's wing. It could have happened like that. I don't know. I don't know how long Edward has been in charge or whatever. I don't know if the timeline lines up, but, like, that would be a pretty big fucking deal, right? Like, that would definitely get you demoted, right? You know what I mean? Like, if the the shadow you invited unalived himself and then the doll just ran away and y'all don't know what happened to him, like don't know if he's actually dead or not, I would say that that's probably, you know, means for demotion, right? And so this conversation with Barbara, I just found it so heartfelt. It was giving me like Frozen vibes when Anna's like, please, I know you're in there. Like, people have been asking where you've been. Like that, like, song in the reprise after, what is it? It's the opening number. It's like, do you want to build a snowman? Yeah, that's what it is, right? Like, you say, like, oh gosh, what is it? You say have courage, and I'm trying to. I'm right out here for you. Like that, like, whole thing. That's what this reminded me of so bad. It's like, Maryrose, I need you. Like, you know, I'm trying to have courage, but like, we have each other. Like, I need you, right? And like, she basically says no. Like, sorry, but Maryrose doesn't want to be an adult anymore. And so I think that's just so fucked, right? I think it's so fucked how like they left Barbara in the dark. And I understand why they think it would be a burden for her to know, but it's just, I don't know. It's just so fucked. And I think Maryrose regrets that, though. Because she does say, like, she wonders whether she made the right decision by breaking the brainwashing. And she also, I think, wonders whether she made the right decision for shutting Barbara out. I think that she probably wonders that as well, right? Especially because this happens kind of because of Maryrose, because she's so upset. And I think that this is so fucked up because, like, everything that Barbara thought about herself, right? And that Maryrose and Christopher tried to not make her think about herself is only proven correct because, like, things are not working out anymore with just Barbara being the leader, basically. Like, Barbara's trying to keep things together, but she's saying no one comes to the meetings, nobody does this anymore, no one does that anymore, right? So she's listing off all these things that just by Barbara being in charge is going wrong. And she's like, Rosemary, I need your help. Like, I need you to help me. And Maryrose says no. So I think that that's why, like, Barbara's like, well, you know, Christopher and Maryrose were wrong. Like, there isn't anything I can do by myself because I'm doing this by myself and it's not working. You know what I mean? Like, it's literally not happening. Like, nobody's coming with just me being in charge, right? And so it's kind of like, I just think it's so fucked up. And this is such like an emotional scene because you know that like Barbie actually, I think genuinely like believes and cares about her, right? And then like you have this explosion, which I don't think is necessarily Barbara's fault because we know that she can't control like her soot output obviously, but like it's very fucked up I think for both of them. You know what I mean? Like for Barbie to be hurt by someone who she cares about so much obviously, and for Barbara to having been the one who did it, I think that's like very fucked up for both of them and probably why they are the way they are now, right? Because like Barbie, I don't know what Barbie would think about this. I don't think it's necessarily that Barbie wouldn't forgive her, but it may be that, like, I don't know, like, it's something hard, I guess, to come back from, right? I don't know. And so, yeah, like, I feel like that this was kind of the start to maybe, like, their relationship changing a lot in a way. But yeah, I just wonder, like, how they feel about each other now, I guess, like, after this incident, you know what I mean? Because, like, obviously, Barbara's the one who hurt her, but I wonder if Barbie still feels resentment towards Barbara for, like, this incident, or that maybe, like, she feels like that she wasn't, like, maybe this is why she felt like she had to become tougher to control Barbara, because without that control, Barbara would just explode, and so I think that may be it, actually. I think that this incident may have made Barbie realize that, like, Barbara can't control herself, and that so Barbie has to become tougher in order to like rein Barbara in, basically. I think that maybe it could have started here. So yeah, this was fucked up too. But yeah, see, so this guy is still the head of the children's wing, even though like what happened to Christopher's been like happening or just happened, right? So maybe he was like the new guy after the other guy, right? Exactly, so they're in Lord Grandfather's wing to talk to him, to talk to Captain Hookman. His name is Thomas, right? Your face has been grievously wounded. See, I didn't think that was why. I think that that's the excuse they're using, but I think it's also because, like, we see that Barbie is basically the only thing that can control Barbara and motivates Barbara to output more soot. I think that it's probably true, the thing about the face and everything, but I think that it's, like, just the face is representative of the bigger issue that, like, if they fused, there would be no way, like, there would just be no way that Barbara would be able to function by herself. Like, she needs Barbie to, like, control her, basically. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she basically needs Barbie to be a separate individual from herself. And so I think that that's also sort of why she can't become an adult. It's just that's not what he told her. Like, I think that's the reason why he saw, but he just sort of, like, well, your face is wounded, so. I do think that that's what he told her. Like, obviously, that's what he told her. But I'm saying that I think that, like, even though that's what he told her because the face was wounded, I think that her being wounded is just representative of, like, a deeper issue, if that makes sense. Also, he transforms right in front of them. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know about that, but, like, she knows about the fusion. I just don't think that she knew it was dead. Like, you know what I mean? That, like, I don't know, Tom was dead? I guess it's Tom and Thomas, right? Or whatever. Like, I don't think that she knew that, like, the doll was dead, maybe? I don't know, because that's interesting. Because, like, Barbara sees this, right? And Maryrose thinks that this information is too much of a burden, but Barbara knows this information as well about the fusion. But maybe that they don't know that the fusion will result in death? Maybe that's why. And so, yeah, so that's sort of an interesting note, is that, like, some of the information that Maryrose didn't want to burden Barbara with, like, Thomas did it. Like, you know what I mean? Thomas already told her. What's interesting is, like, if only we could have met one last time. And so it seems like that she knows that maybe Christopher and Anthony, like, that Anthony may be dead or something. Like, you know what I mean? Because she's saying, like, I don't know, is that her talking? If only we could have met one last time? I think that that's Barbara saying that in the real time. So she knows that Anthony's probably dead based off of the fusion, right? Like, she wanted to meet Anthony before he died. So doesn't she know that? Like, she also knows that maybe that something bad will happen to Barbie if they go through with being adults. But yeah, so this is interesting since Christopher has such high hopes for you. But the thing is, Christopher is dead at this point. So that's sort of sketch, isn't it? Like, that's sort of sus, right? Because Christopher is dead because Anthony is hiding in Maryrose's room. So either Thomas doesn't know this, or it is just focusing on his mouth, and that's a very, like, popular cut in anime if the character is hiding something. So I would say that maybe he's just making shit up, you know? Like, he's just making shit up about it. And I don't know, he's basically using Christopher as, like, an excuse, but he has ulterior motives. And that ulterior motives may be, like, because he never wants Barbara to become an adult because he knows that, like, Barbara would be kind of useless without Barbie around in terms of, like, soot output and, like, whatever. So, yeah. So this is interesting, right? Like, it's sort of like he's using Christopher to manipulate her, but we know that Christopher's dead, right? And so I feel like that, like, this is like an impossible condition or something. Like, I feel like that they did this on purpose so that she would never become an adult because they know that, like, they need her, like, 60% soot output, and they can't. You know what I mean? Like, they can't have that if they're fused together, right? So yeah, I just think it's sort of sus. I think that there are sort of suspicious things going on. I don't know, right? I think with that, right? Not until she becomes like Christopher, but Christopher's fucking dead. And we know that they're dead at this point, right? And so yeah, that's what I'm like sussing about, like, Thomas. Like, why did Thomas say that? Does he not know? I think he knows, right? And so yeah, I think that that's interesting too. Like, that how she parted ways with Maryrose, right? Like, no matter what anyone has said, Barbara has maintained complete control, right? Barbara has been able to try this hard because she has something she believes in, right? And I guess that it's Christopher that she believes in, right? Like, you know what I mean? Is that she basically became sort of the tough person she is now because she wanted to, like, meet Christopher again. Here's my thing though, like, is this scar actually going to heal? Because I know, like, this is so random, but I have a scar on my leg that I got, like, because I, like, cut myself on the couch, like, at the cottage, like, you know what I mean, like, the edge of the couch, like, 4 years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. Like, it's an old scar. It is still there. Like, you can still see it. You know what I mean? Like, I have lots of scars that never healed. So I wonder if this is just some bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? I wonder if they're just using Barbara and her emotions, like her will to see Christopher again, basically, when she's never gonna see Christopher again, first of all. And then also, she's never going to actually be an adult. It was just Thomas saying some bullshit. That's what I think, right? So yeah, what's interesting too is that, like, Barbara calls him Master Edward, and Edward makes a comment on this later. So it seems that, like, all of the Starbearers know about the fusion, or at least Barbara in particular does, because it's like, oh, like, Maryrose, you showed no surprise when Barbara said that, and Barbara's the only one that's supposed to know. You're not supposed to know. I think this was a brave thing to say, right? Like, hey, like, this was because of you. Like, our response was delayed because you gave us bad information, so can you shut the fuck up? I thought that was great, right? And he's just like, oh, you're putting on airs of a worthy leader, right? I praise you for finding the culprit, never mind. But he doesn't actually address what she says. Like, can you stop manipulating us? He doesn't actually say, yeah, sure. He's just like, I praise you. You know what I mean? He doesn't actually address or question or anything. And so, yeah, I think that this is pretty fucked up, right? And I wonder, too, if, like, because I have this theory on Edward, I wonder if he would have really turned her in, or because he wants to go against the house himself, he would have, like, I don't know, he would have done something, like, he would have done something else, that they would have basically worked together or something, but, like, obviously he can't say that in front of her. So, yeah, that's sort of interesting. Like, did he actually want to turn in Maryrose, or did he just want to pretend like he was going to, and then shuffle her off somewhere, and then they all work together against, like, Lord Grandfather or something? And so, yeah, this is fucked up, too. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't realize it, because I was like, wait, how's Christopher telling this story of the Phantoms, right? If Maryrose created the Phantoms, because I was like, was somebody else creating the Phantoms before? Like, you guys know, if you guys have been watching my reviews every single week, that that's something that I was always talking about. I was like, okay, so either someone else has this power, or like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't understand, but now I get it. So the reason why, right, like, is because Christopher just made it up, and then Maryrose brought it to life. Like, she literally manifested it. It wasn't like a pre-existing concept beforehand. It was basically that, like, Christopher basically made up the boogeyman, and then Maryrose created the boogeyman, because that's what I was always confused about. I was like, well, Christopher's telling stories about the Phantoms, right? So they must exist, like, in nature somehow. Like, it can't just be Maryrose who knows how to make them. There must be some other way to make them, because how did Christopher know about them? But it's so funny, because Christopher didn't fucking know about them. He just made them up. You know, and I think that's hilarious. Like, I just thought that was so funny. Also, I do think, though, that Edward feels bad about this, right? Because Barbara asks, why isn't it Christopher, like, being the warden of the children's wing? It should be Christopher, right? And so I think he actually feels bad. Like, he actually seems sad here. You know what I mean? Like, he's always sort of wide-eyed, but he actually looks genuinely remorseful. I feel like he knows. Like, he knows that Barbara doesn't know. And I think he may be glaring at Barbara, but I think he may be glaring at Maryrose, because I think he knows that Maryrose knows, right? But, like, Maryrose didn't tell her, and it's just like she let her live, like, in ignorance, right? And so, yeah, we see the opening scene where, like, Maryrose remembers, like, her morph memories. Was breaking Anthony's brainwashing the right thing to do? Yeah, and so I think that this is interesting, because now we see things from, I guess, Maryrose's perspective. And that the coffee was actually served in the room. And so, see, that's interesting, right? Because, like, did that change because of Barbara? So did Barbara sort of suspect that the brainwashing had been broken at some point, and that's why they held the rejoicing parties? Or was it just to make sure that there was more order? Because I find that a little suspicious. I feel like that Barbara may know slightly more than Maryrose is entertaining that she knows, but not about, like, Christopher and Anthony, right? Like, I feel like that she knows about the coffee, and so she probably figured out, like, damn, like, if people have coffee in their rooms, they could probably just, like, pour it down the sink. Like, eventually, like, when Barbara became the Starbearer, she probably thought of that, and she probably thought, considering, like, you know what, if I were Barbara, I would be like, you know what's weird? Is that Maryrose suddenly doesn't want to be an adult like everybody else. Like, what if she's pouring her coffee down the sink? You know, like, that's what I would think, right? And so maybe that's why she started it, because she wanted to make sure that, like, Rosemary actually drank the coffee every week, and that maybe she could get her friend back that way. That's a fun little headcanon, right? And so back then it was simple, right? Because they were supposed to do it themselves. I feel like Barbara wanted everybody to do it in the same room together, not only to just, like, maintain order, but then also maybe because she wanted to make sure that Rosemary was drinking it, and that would have an extended effect. And so I like this scene too, because, like, you can sort of tell that, like, Rosemary has a different reason, because she does definitely want to start a rebellion, right? He's like, oh, but it's not as if you want to start a rebellion, right? Like, he's so innocent, but she definitely does, and you can tell even in Japanese, right? Has sort of that cadence of, oh, well, of course not. Like, you know, this life isn't a bad one, right? Like, you know, everything's fine. Like, that sort of, like, way of speaking. I think that that's what they intended for her. Like, so why don't we break everyone's brainwashing? Not because I want to start a rebellion, but just because, you know, we can think deeply about things suddenly, right? Like, it's that sort of, like, cadence of speaking, which I think is very interesting, right? And so I love this, like, with Christopher and Anthony. I just thought that that was great. Like, you know, they have a very optimistic, like, very admirable, exactly what I expected, right? And so I think that that's very fascinating because she doesn't want to reveal her true reasons, because I don't think she was lonely. I don't think that that's why. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's because, like, you know, like, I wanted Rosemary to feel the same way. I think that is true. But, like, I think the brainwash, like, oh, you know, if you're brainwashed, jokes aren't as funny. I think that she was just, like, trying to find some bullshit, basically. Some bullshit reason. And I do really like this scene, like, you know, or well, we can't try to sneak out, or like try on Maryrose's clothes. Like, oh, it's not difficult at all. I thought that was cute dialogue. Like, I really liked that. It just showed their personalities, but I do think Maryrose was like playing it up a little bit. You know, I don't think that that was actually true. And I like this too, because this is such like a Patrick-Ricky situation. Because, like, Ricky is so much more conniving than Patrick is, and I love this. I love just seeing, like, you're a splendid master, you know, like, you're great, right? And I love this, too. Like, Christopher's accomplishments, I think, were because of Anthony and his, like, lack of brainwashing. Exactly. So much could be achieved because the brainwashing was broken, and Maryrose kind of, like, watched at a distance. Little bit of a distance, right? And so she was totally on board to, like, do things in his stead, right? Like, she was totally on board to, like, continue. Our allies who are free of the brainwashing are gone. See, that's interesting, too. I wonder if that was just Christopher, or if possibly that was also Edward and, like, Aline and the other guy, right? Like, I wonder if this expanded to them as well, because they would have also become adults at one point, but maybe it just meant, like, Christopher and Anthony as well, right? You know, as the allies, right? So yeah, I think this is interesting, right? Like, we said the secret would only be a burden for Barbara, but she kind of knows part of it. But yeah, this is so fucked up. This has to be like one of the most fucked up moments. And I think in my reaction, I was talking about something, like I was theorizing about something, and like just like it just shocked me. Like, it just totally shook me, right? And this was just so, like, this was such good scene composition. The voice acting was insane. Like, it was just so moving. Like, even on the second watch, on the first watch, I was kind of distracted because, like I said, I was theorizing about things, but on, like, the second watch, getting the screenshots, I literally cried. Like, it was, like, just to see it again and, like, to experience it, I guess, without talking over part of it. Like, you know, like, this was just crazy. Like, and I didn't expect this at all. I thought that Christopher died because he was being rebellious. I had no idea that this would have been the outcome whatsoever. And I just thought that that was so, like, insane, right? Especially for all of them, you know? Like, I think that that's just, I don't know, like, that's just so heavy, and it's so unexpected. Like, I don't know, like, it was, I can't even find the words to describe how I feel about it, because it was just such a heartbreaking scenario. Like, it was just such a heartbreaking thing to hear, because I thought that it was because he rebelled. Like, you know, I sort of had this theory that either Christopher was dead or Anthony was dead, as I already explained, but I was so sure that it was because, like, they had rebelled, right? But see, this is what I mean, though. So I don't know if this is, like, metaphorical or literal, but it seems like genuinely when Barbara maybe comes to her, right, Anthony is already in the room? I don't know. Like, I wonder if this is, like, real or just a metaphor, but I think that they were hiding Anthony. I think, again, like, the call is coming from inside the house and everything, right? Also, I just thought that this was, like, a very interesting shot, and also interesting because, like, you can see the soot pipe underneath, and so I do wonder if there was some way that they could have, like, fell and then started to climb under that. But yeah, I just thought that, like, this episode was so good in terms of the lore. Like, when Barbara called me Edward just now, you didn't react. Like, isn't this format to you, right? So we know, like, they know that the fusion thing has been, like, leaked, right? That means there must have been an informer, but, like, the informer was also Tom, and, like, you know what I mean? Thomas did it in front of Barbara, but, like, I know what he means. It was Anthony, right? Like, Anthony was the one that told her. I guess the Starbearers are allowed to know, but, like, then the regular kids aren't. That's the only thing I'm confused about, because I'm like, the informer is literally Thomas. If it's not Anthony, it's Thomas. Thomas did it right in front of her, right in front of Barbara. But again, maybe the Starbearers know and I missed that. Like, the Starbearers do know about the fusion, but they're supposed to keep it a secret, right? And so, yeah, I think that that's interesting. I don't know. I think that that's interesting. But I think that that's probably the case, is that they know that it was Anthony, like that Anthony is alive and told them about it, right? And that maybe they thought this whole time that Anthony was dead, but that he's not dead, etc., etc. I thought that this was so smart, like the giant phantom like breaking through the window and everything, or I guess like the bars and stuff. And so yeah, I love the shock on everyone's faces. I thought that this was great, and they're like, oh, you know, we have to go help, only the Starbearers are allowed down the hallway. There's that as well. And so, yeah, I think that this was pretty smart. If trouble occurs, it's gonna be your fucking fault, Edward. Right? So they're basically trying to, like, cause chaos, I think, for that reason as well. But see, if Edward wasn't actually going to, like, punish her, I think that this is kind of fucked up. You know what I mean? Because, like, what if he actually did, like, want to, like, plan a rebellion with Maryrose after finding out that she was rebellious, because he's also against the house, right? And I think that this was just such a powerful scene, right? Like taking over Ed's body so you could live, right? Do you truly think nothing of it? And I think that's so fucked up. Also, I love how casually, like, Kate just knows this information now because she's like here for this, right? She's not supposed to. And so, yeah, I think that this was just so, like, this was so interesting in terms of, like, this scene, right? And he transforms in front of them all, too, so they must know. Like, the Starbearers at least must know, but Kate's also watching this, so, you know, that's kind of awkward, but he's recognizing that the coffee must be out of their system, right? Which I think is interesting. But yeah, I wonder if, like, this is kind of fucked up, that, like, he wanted to maybe, like, work with Maryrose and Rosemary, and then they just, like, jump off the side of the thing. I wonder if he actually wanted to work with them, and he didn't expect that they would do that, and he's gonna, like, feel bad about it or something. Because I could see that being, like, what Edward is trying to do, honestly. Like, I could see that. I don't know, but I could see that being a scenario, right? The world of adults, which I admired as a child, was exactly as I imagined it. And I'm like, is that bullshit, Edward? Because I always sort of thought something was going on with Edward. Even back in season 1, if you guys saw my videos from back then, I sort of thought that he, you know, there was some twist to his actions, right? And so I wonder if he's just, like, putting on, you know, a front, basically, right? And so I love this scene. I thought that this was so good, and I love this from Maryrose as well. If something is only gained through the sacrifice of something precious, what value could it possibly have? And I thought that that was great. And I just love this scene, too, because he realizes what's gonna happen, but then it's already too late, right? And again, I wonder if he's surprised not only because, like, he wanted information and he wanted to turn her in and whatever, right? But also because he's like, oh, shit. You know, I didn't want things to go this way. I just wanted to pretend to arrest her so then later, like, you know, we could rebel together, but then she just jumps out the window instead. And this was just such a moving scene, too. I love them both hugging each other. I love him reaching for them, too, because I do wonder, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if I'm right about, like, Edward having more ulterior motives than actually wanting to kidnap her. It's interesting, too, that, like, I know that Barbie and Barbara can't do anything. Like, I don't think that they can with her powers that she has, but, like, they just have to watch this traumatic experience again. But see, Edward has this look on his face, right? That's why I'm a little suspicious, because it could be like, oh shit, I'm so boned. Like, she had information and I wanted it, and I wanted to use the information to get to the 3rd floor. This is also another failed, you know, recruitment or, like, failed invitation. Like, I'm so fucked. It could be a I'm so fucked face for that reason, but I wonder if it's because, like, shit, I didn't actually want her to fucking die. I just needed an excuse. I just needed to put on a show of taking her to the adult wing, right? So, yeah, I do wonder, but I do think that Kate has saved her. Again, we talked about that at the beginning. I don't know if that, you know, little pile of soot down there is supposed to be them, but I don't think it is. I seriously doubt it. I think that they're alive 10,000%. Nothing will change my mind. I think that Kate did the pillow thing, you know, and rescued them, basically. Or there was some other plan. But yeah, we won't find that out now, I'm assuming. But that's basically it from me, everyone. I hope that you guys enjoyed the discussion. Thank you for attending Calxyn's Royal Court today, this week, for this review. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to check out the Patreon if you guys want to support me, support the editors, support videos like this, make sure that they continue to happen, and we will see you next week. Bye!